Welcome back to Arise News Hour. I'm Charles Anier-Golden. Now let's return to the story we told you about earlier. The Pope Francis has called for an end to violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo. On Sunday, government security forces fired on demonstrators who were protesting against President Joseph Kabila, killing 6 people. The protests had been organized by the local Catholic Church, and President Kabila has been in power since 2001 and was supposed to step down after his second and final term came to an end in 2016. Under a deal reached more than a year ago, this was extended to 2017, but he remains in power. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now live from our London studios by the founder of the pressure group Save the Congo, Vava Tampa. Well, Vava, I can see you fiddling with your earpiece there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, thank you.
What's your reaction to what the Pope had to say?
It's encouraging. I'm grateful to the Pope for going public and essentially setting on stage and stating on the agenda what needs to be done and sort of forcing Mr. Kabila to stop killing the Congolese people the way he has been killing the Congolese people.
And it's going to make a difference?
I hope it does. The Pope has a huge, incredible voice. And one of the key elements that we need at this point essentially is to spread awareness, explain to the global world what is going on in Congo, explain what Mr. Kabila is doing, the reasons for which he's clinging to power, and the impact on the Congolese people, the ways in which we have been slaughtered on the street of Kinshasa, Goma, and across the country, the ways in which people have been targeted, the ways in which people are being tortured in different police cells. So it's incredibly crucial that people such as the Pope, and I hope in weeks and months to arrive, different religious leaders across the globe and different political leaders in London, in Washington, in Paris, Brussels, and elsewhere, in Nigeria, of course, and South Africa and Angola as well, would essentially record their protest and put on record what they think, what they feel, and why Mr. Kabila should essentially leave power peacefully.
The Catholic Church, of course, in the DRC, very powerful. At one point, it was seen as a partner, and it organized that deal that was struck between the opposition and President Kabila. Now, of course, it's likely to be seen as a threat by Mr. Kabila. You just remind us, Vava, of why President Kabila appears to be refusing to give up power.
My theory is simple. I think Mr. Kabila wants one thing, and that thing is he wants to split Congo. Mr. Kabila wants to balkanize Congo for the simplest reasons. He understands that if Congo continues as a one entity, he will be held accountable for the crimes he has committed, and not just him, but many people around him and many people in Kigali and Kampala will be held accountable. So at this point, what Mr. Kabila is attempting to do is essentially to create a chaotic situation across the country and create crises in Kasai, in Bakongo, in Bandundu, and across the country, to the extent in which the Congolese themselves, because your viewers would remember that for the past 15 or so years, Congo has been attacked by an invading army from Rwanda and Uganda in attempt to balkanize Congo and to split Congo apart. But that has failed. And what Mr. Kabila is now attempting to do is the second, a point two, if you like, of that same theory, which is to create a chaotic situation to the point in which the Congolese themselves from different provinces will sort of say, you know what, we do not want to be part of this government anymore. This central government doesn't care for us anymore. We want to become independent. That's his objective. That's why he's clinging to power.
Now, you're calling for Mr. Kabila to go and for a civilian transition to be put in place. He says that if he goes, the country will degenerate into chaos. I mean, what plans do you have in place to fill the gap if Mr. Kabila decides, for instance, to leave office today? Who will lead that transition?
Well, the country is already chaotic. Congo, as it stands, continues to exist because the Congolese people are fighting for it to continue to exist. That's a very simplest of the fact. As things stand, a few friends and I are pushing for a civilian transition to be led by someone from the civil society without Mr. Kabila. And one of the names, or the only names which has been put forward, and which I dearly support because he's a man of huge integrity, is Dr. Denis Mukwege. We've seen his values, we know how his integrity, and I think he would lead a transition that would organize election that will be free, fair and transparent and return Congo to constitutionality. And that is arguably the only plan that is on the table. I think as things stand, the church and many people internationally are reluctant to advocate for that point, but I'm almost convinced that in weeks and months to come, they will join our side and they will start pushing for the same plan.
Okay, Vava, we appreciate your coming on to talk to us about this very important story. Vava Tampa from Save the Congo, the NGO, live there from our studios in London.